Imagine this, you start going to the gym, you watch a few YouTube videos, you see guys with insane physiques, shredded abs, huge shoulders, veins everywhere, and then someone tells you something like this: bro, you can build 20 pounds of muscles in a year, or even crazier. If you train hard for 5 years, you can look like a fitness influencer. But here is the problem. Most of the physiques you see online are either genetics outliers, enhanced with anabolic steroids, or built over decades of training. And when beginners compare themselves to those bodies, something dangerous happens. They think they are doing something wrong, they think their genetics are bad, they think their program is trash, and sometimes they quit. But today we are going to break down the real science of natural muscle gain. We'll answer questions like: how much muscle can you actually gain naturally? How long does it realistically take? Are famous influencers like Simeon Panda, Liver King, or Mike O'Hearn natural? You might already know about one of them, that he is not natural, but we will discuss the rest of them. And the last question is: how does the fitness industry sometimes manipulate expectations to sell you supplements and programs? By the end of this video, you will understand the real limits of natural muscle growth and why knowing the truth can actually make you progress faster. Let's start with the basic biology. When you lift weights, you create tiny microscopic damage in muscle fibers. Your body repairs those fibers and make them slightly bigger and stronger. This process is called muscle hypertrophy. But here is the key thing most beginners don't realize. Muscle growth is slow, extremely slow. Even under perfect conditions, perfect training, perfect diet, perfect sleep, your body can only build muscles at a limited rate. Research on resistance training shows that most people can realistically gain about 0.5 to 2 pounds of muscle per month, depending on experience and genetics. And that's actually considered good progress. So let's break it down more realistically. Multiple fitness research models and coaching frameworks have estimated natural muscle growth rates. Here is the rough timeline. Year 1, beginner phase. This is when you gain the fastest. Most beginners can gain roughly 8 to 20 pounds of muscles in the first year, depending on genetics, diet, and training quality, obviously. Why so fast? Because your body has never experienced resistance training before, your muscles respond quickly to the new stimulus. This phase is called newbie gains. Year 2, growth slows down. You might gain around 6 to 12 pounds of muscle. Your body starts adapting to training. You can still grow, but not as explosively. Year 3, now you are intermediate. Muscle gain drops to about 3 to 6 pounds per year. Progress becomes slower and requires smart training. Year 4 to 10, this is where most naturals struggle. You might gain only 1 to 3 pounds of muscle per year. Some years you may gain almost nothing. That's why advanced lifters often look the same for several years. So how much muscle can you gain in total? Most research models suggest that the average natural male can gain about 40 to 50 pounds of muscle over their lifetime. And reaching that level usually takes 8 to 10 years of consistent training. That's a decade, not 6 months, not one transformation programs, 10 years. This is also why many natural bodybuilders use something called FFMI, Fat Free Mass Index. About 24 to 25 is considered the natural ceiling for most men. Anything significantly above that starts raising serious questions. Here is where the problem begins: social media. You scroll through Insta and see insane transformation in 6 months, shredded influencers claiming natural, people gaining 30 pounds of muscles in a year. But there is a hidden trick behind many of these transformations. They combine muscle gain, fat gain, lighting, pump, dehydration, editing. Many people think they gained 20 pounds of muscles, but in reality they gained 5 pounds of muscles and 15 pounds of fat. Even experienced lifters often miscalculate their muscle gains. So let's discuss some of the cases and see whether they are natural or not. Let's talk about one of the most debated physiques in the fitness industry, Simeon Panda. If you have spent any time in the fitness world, you have probably heard the question: is Simeon Panda natural? Some people swear he is lifetime natty, others say there is absolutely no way. So let's break this down logically using timeline, physiology, and reach a definite conclusion. Let's look at the numbers. Simeon Panda is about 6 foot 1 inch tall, around 230 pounds, roughly 7% body fat, with a 31-inch waist and 21-inch arms. Now on paper that might not sound crazy, but when you calculate something called fat-free mass index, which estimates natural muscular limits, things start looking suspicious. Natural lifters generally max out around 24 to 25 of fat-free mass index. Simeon Panda's estimated fat-free mass index is around 27 to 28, which is significantly above what most scientists consider the natural ceiling. Now that does not automatically prove steroid use, but it means one of two things must be true. Either he has once in 100 million genetics, or he used performance enhancing drugs. And statistically, the second explanation is far more likely. Step 2, the conditioning problem. Another red flag is how lean he stays while maintaining huge muscle mass. Most natural lifters cannot maintain very low body fat, large muscle mass year-round conditioning. Why? Because when you stay extremely lean, your testosterone levels drop, recovery slows, and muscle growth becomes much harder. Yet Simeon Panda has maintained a massive shredded physique physique for over a decade. That combination, big, lean and year-round shredded, is extremely rare without pharmaceutical help. Now let's talk about strength. Simian Panda has posted lifts like a 605-pound squat while maintaining bodybuilder conditioning. That level of strength combined with bodybuilding aesthetics is near impossible naturally. Usually athletes specialize in either strength or aesthetics. Having both at elite levels looks suspicious. Now Simian Panda has tried to prove he is natural. He has taken a polygraph test, passed a hair follicle test, but here is the problem. Neither of these proves the natural status. Hair follicle test only detects steroids for about 90 days, and polygraph measures stress responses, not chemical compounds. They can be easily beaten with little bit of emotional control. So technically, someone could simply stop using steroids before the test. This is why drug testing in bodybuilding is so controversial. So after analyzing his fat-free mass index, his body composition, his strength levels, and how long he has maintained that physique, the conclusion is simple. He is not natty, because his physique sits beyond what most scientific models consider natural human limits. And in the fitness industry, when someone's body exceeds those limits, the explanation is usually performance-enhancing drugs. It means that most of people should not compare their natural progress to his physique, because if you do, you are comparing yourself to a completely different playing field. Before we talk about the second one, let me ask you a question. If someone told you that you could build a massive shredded physique just by eating raw liver, walking barefoot, would you believe them? Well, millions of people did. And that's exactly how a man called Brian Johnson, better known as Liver King, built one of the biggest fitness brands on the internet. For years, Liver King claimed his insane physique came from eating things like raw liver, bone marrow, bull testicles, and living like ancient humans. No steroids, no drugs, just primal living. But here is the reality. The entire story was a lie, and not a small lie either. In 2022, leaked emails exposed something shocking. Those emails revealed that Liver King was spending around $11,000 every single month on steroids and growth hormone. We are not talking about a little testosterone. We are talking about a full pharmaceutical stack. Things like testosterone injections, human growth hormone, and many other things. Basically a chemical cocktail designed to build muscle mass far beyond natural limits. And when the evidence exploded across the internet, something interesting happened. For years, Liver King had aggressively denied using steroids. On podcasts, he would say things like, "I don't touch the stuff, never touched the stuff." But once the emails became public, he had no way out. So he uploaded an apology video, and in that video, he finally admitted the truth. "I lied and I misled a lot of people. Yes, I have done steroids, and yes, I am on steroids." Case closed, he was never natural. Even before the confession, many people in the fitness world already suspected something, because Liver King's physique didn't just look good, it looked chemically enhanced. Huge traps, massive shoulders, veins everywhere, low body fat year around, and he maintained that look in his mid-40s. That combination is extremely rare naturally. Natural lifters usually hit their limits after years of training, but enhanced athletes can maintain insane size and conditioning for much longer, and Liver King fit that pattern perfectly. But here is the deeper part of the story. The Liver King was not just a fitness influencer. He was running a massive business. His company sold organ meat supplements and other health products, generating tens of millions of dollars every year, and his physique was the marketing. Think about it. If people believe your body came from eating liver and taking your supplements, they will buy your supplements. But if they know your body came from $11,000 a month in performance enhancing drugs, that entire business model collapses. So the lie had to continue until it couldn't. The Liver King scandal became one of the clearest examples of what the fitness industry calls the fake natty problem. Influencers build incredible physiques using drugs, then they claim those results come from diet, supplements, training programs, and beginners believe them. Not because people are stupid, but because most people simply don't understand how slow natural muscle growth actually is. The Liver King story is important because it exposed something bigger than just one influencer. It exposed how profitable fake natural physiques can be, and why honesty in the fitness industry is so rare. Now coming to the third one, let's talk about one of the most controversial figure in fitness industry, Mike O'Hearn. If you have spent even a little time in the fitness world, you have probably heard the debate. Is Mike O'Hearn natural or not? Well, if we look at the evidence, his physique, his timeline, and the science of natural muscle growth, Mike O'Hearn is almost certainly not natural. Let's break down why. So Mike is around 6'3" and roughly around 245 to 255 pounds while staying very lean for most of his career. That combination alone is extremely rare. Natural lifters can get big, they can also get lean, but being very muscular and very lean at the same time year after year for decades is another story. Natural lifters usually go through phases like bulking, cutting, looking softer in the off season, but Mike has maintained an extremely muscular and lean physique for over 30 years. That level of consistency raises serious questions. And here is the part that really stands out. Mike is in his 50s and still extremely muscular and strong. Now think about that for a second. Natural testosterone levels decline with age. Recovery slows down. Muscle retention becomes harder. Even elite natural bodybuilders usually lose size and strength after their 40s. But Mike has stayed massive well into his 50s. That's totally unusual. It cannot be impossible, but extremely unlikely naturally. Mike is not just muscular, he is also incredibly strong. He has claimed lifts like 600-pound bench press, 800-pound squat. For someone who is also lean and bodybuilding focused, these numbers are extraordinary. Elite powerlifters might reach those numbers, elite bodybuilders might reach those physiques, but doing both at the same time for decades is extremely rare. When someone has top-tier bodybuilding size and elite powerlifting strength, performance-enhancing drugs became a much more likely explanation. Let's discuss the fourth factor. Mike grew up in hardcore powerlifting gyms and started training extremely young. He began competing as a teenager and was already very big early in life. That absolutely explains part of his development. Starting young gives a huge advantage, but even with perfect genetics and decades of training, natural muscle growth still follows biological limits. And those limits make Mike's physique difficult to explain without enhancement. Supporters of Mike usually say a few things. He has never failed a drug test. He has always claimed to be natural. Some athletes believe his physique does not show obvious steroid side effects. These points sound convincing at first, but here is the problem. Drug tests can be beaten, claims can be false, and not every steroid user show obvious side effects. Modern performance enhancing drugs protocols can be very controlled. In the fitness world, there is a concept called extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. If someone says they built a normal natural physique, it's believable. But if someone claims to maintain a superhero physique for 40 years while staying natural, the burden of proof becomes much higher. And right now, the evidence simply does not support that claim. So we can say that Mike O'Hearn is disciplined, consistent, genetically gifted, and clearly a lifelong lifter. But based on his size, conditioning, strength, longevity, the most realistic conclusion is this: Mike O'Hearn is almost certainly not a lifetime natural. That does not mean his work ethic is not real, but it does mean that the physique people see online is probably not achievable naturally. And understanding that is important, because unrealistic expectations are what push many beginners toward frustration, and sometimes even towards steroids themselves. Now, why would someone lie about that? Simple, it's money. Steroids themselves are not the business. The business is selling supplements, workout programs, coaching, courses, apparel. If people believe your physique is natural, they think, if I buy his program, I can look like him. But if someone admits steroid use, that illusion disappears, and so does a lot of sales. Anabolic steroids dramatically increase muscle protein synthesis. They allow athletes to recover faster, train harder, build muscle much faster. Natural lifters might gain 10 pounds of muscles in a year. Enhanced lifter might gain that much in a few months. This is why professional bodybuilding physiques are completely different from natural physiques, and it's also why expectations become unrealistic. Now let's discuss the psychological damage of unrealistic expectations. This is the part that does not get talked about enough. When beginners compare themselves to enhanced athletes, they often feel discouraged, frustrated, genetically inferior. They start thinking, I have been training for 2 years and still look small. But here is the reality. 2 years of natural training might produce 10 to 20 pounds of muscle. That's it. Which might not look dramatic in photos, but it's actually excellent progress. When you understand natural muscle limits, something amazing happens. You stop chasing unrealistic expectations. You focus on consistency, progressive overload, nutrition, recovery, and that's when real progress happens. Because muscle building is not a sprint, it's a decade-long progress. If you train seriously, here is what your journey might look like. Year 1, you start looking athletic. Year 3, people can tell you lift weights. Year 5, you have an impressive physique. Year 10, you are close to your natural potential. That's the real timeline. And once you understood that, you stop chasing shortcuts. The truth about natural muscle gain is actually simple. It takes years of training, patience, and discipline. Most people don't fail because of genetics. They fail because they accept 10 years of progress in 1 year. So the next time you see someone online claiming insane natural gains, remember this: muscle growth follows biology, not marketing. And if you stay consistent long enough, your body will change in ways you never imagined. Just not overnight. That's it for today, guys, and I will see you in the next one.